artist interview series for Unheard of Records. And we'll go ahead and kick it off. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name's Steven. My artist name is Illanthropy, and I am releasing a song with Unheard of titled Maybe Today, and very excited to get it out there and for this whole interview process. And yeah, thanks for the invite.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, tell us a little bit about the track.
Um, I think the track is really representative of this sort of transition in my life from being really focused on like my social media impact and stuff, and how I was allowing that to make me feel about myself, versus in that transition state, allowing my curiosity and creativity to like kind of take charge again and be in control of how I'm feeling about myself. And so the whole concept is like, maybe today things can be different. Maybe today I can like lean into things a little bit more, or I can like change the way that I feel about myself or my art or whatever. Yeah.
I I think that that's a really relatable kind of just emotion and mindset that a lot of artists go through. I know I've been back and forth through so many different focuses, across my years making music. So that's definitely something that hits home for me. Especially, I'm sure, a lot of other artists and people in general can connect with that. Tell us a little bit about how you started making music, about your brand, about you as an artist.
So I think when I was in high school, this is probably around like 2008, I was a huge metalhead and then really into Nine Inch Nails. And Nine Inch Nails released this album called Year Zero. I think it was in 2007 actually, but I got really into it in like my sophomore, junior year of high school. And it was just this, I was hearing so many sounds that I'd never heard before. It was this really incredible, like electronic journey of things, especially, having really almost exclusively listened to metal for a couple of years at this point, something really refreshing. And it really brought me out of my comfort zone in a lot of ways. And so I was playing World of Warcraft at the time, and a lot of my friends were telling me about FL Studio, and I just learned what cracked plugins or cracked software was at this time. And so they sent me a link via LimeWire for FL Studio, a cracked version of FL Studio.
Throwback.
Yeah, and .exe,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I downloaded FL Studio, and I was trying to make stuff that was really like industrial sounding, like trying to, I guess, in a lot of ways, sonically replicate a lot of the things that I was hearing in that album. And so at this point, like I had never even heard EDM, and then my best friend at the time, he has since passed away, rest his soul, showed me my first dubstep track, which was Eastern Jam by Chase and Status.
Nice.
And
Let's go.
I'd never heard anything like that before. I was absolutely fucking obsessed. And that changed the trajectory, I think, for my life in a lot of ways. Like I started changing the way I was making music, and started really deep diving into a lot of artists in the at the time, I think most dubstep music was pretty alternative or left field. It wasn't really popular in the way that it is now, and so finding it was really difficult. And then, but I found I had so much fun, like digging and finding all these new artists. And um, yeah, I think that moment really set the tone for like how I was approaching music. And then, there's a lot of stuff after that, and artists that we probably shouldn't waste any time talking about. But yeah,
No, that's
it's still
awesome.
ultimately people that had a big impact on me, and so I won't um, negate that or pretend like that wasn't the case. But yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
not gonna give it any.
Well, hey, that's actually one of the next questions. But before I get to some of your biggest inspirations and influences, I just want to say now I totally see why Skylar was saying that we'd be quick friends because I have a pretty similar journey as well from metalhead to actually rapper. And then after having
Yeah.
been playing instruments and whatnot for a while. Uh, I started dabbling in GarageBand, and then also ended up with a cracked version of FL Studio somehow back in the day, Fruity Loops.
That's the blueprint, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And then started trying to make hip hop beats. Went to my first rave, and I was like, I could probably make some stuff like this. And then my first dubstep tune that I heard was Innocence. But Eastern
Oh,
Jam was
amazing.
like
Yeah.
similar time, and also got into it in high school around like 2006, 2007. But
Yeah, weird. Interesting time. Like I
yeah,
remember seeing all these like sweaty warehouse shows back then. Like, artists that are like internationally touring now or throwing some of the biggest EDM festivals I saw in
yeah,
like sweaty 500 person rooms with no air conditioning in like
yep.
2007,
Tell me
2008 or
about
whatever.
it. Yeah,
Which I kind of miss it, but I
yeah.
still think it's really cool how far it's come now and created like an economy for people like us to like actually make music doing this stuff. So
Yeah, gotta love it. So yeah, I guess that'll lead right into my next question is, what are some of your biggest inspirations or influences, whether it was, people who got you into it or people that you look up to now, like who are you listening to mostly nowadays, versus when you first started?
totally. I would be remiss if I didn't mention my late best friend. His name was Rosino. Just I think he probably had more impact on my music taste than anyone in my life. And I still spend a lot of time trying to like honor that memory and
Yeah,
honor his presence in my life by thinking about like, is this good enough? Am I just like saying, okay, this is done, and not really like if I feel like the tiniest itch to make something different or change it a little bit, like I lean into that because like creativity is the most important part of all this. But next to that, naturally, Dave Tipper, I think is
nice.
just a creative mastermind, and I really love the history with how he kind of came into the space that he's in now,
Yeah,
just being obsessed with sound and obsessed with creation. Um, Trent Reznor still like Nine Inch Nails still I'm listening regularly. Still
nice.
going back to that old album. Just yeah, that's some serious stuff. And then I'm very lucky to work in an environment. I work at Red Rocks, and I'm surrounded by people that
Oh,
are also
nice.
really into music. People are really into analog mastering and stuff, and so I've been able to be around a lot of analog gear and around a lot of creative minds. And I think like my family at Red Rocks currently is probably like the biggest inspiration for me musically. I probably compared to maybe the average EDM listener don't listen to a lot of EDM like regularly. I think I find inspiration in things way outside of EDM.
Yeah, very
And
important, I think.
yeah, definitely. Like uh, I think a lot of people are making things that take me out of my comfort zone and make me think about what I'm doing differently. And so when I'm making music, I'm not really trying to make like dubstep or whatever. Like I'm trying to just make something that's like emotionally, physically, sonically, and viscerally overwhelming. Like that, because that's
Nice.
that's what has helped me in my life, like taking me out of depressive states or anxious states or whatever. Just something that overwhelms the senses and prevents me from being able to like get stuck in my head or stay trapped
Yep.
in my head,
Feel that.
Yeah, no
Feel
doubt.
that for sure. Well, no, it sounds like you've got a lot of awesome things going working at Red Rocks. That's rad.
It's
I've
pretty
still never
rad.
been,
Yeah.
even though I actually grew up in Colorado, but I moved away before, like I was, old enough to go to shows or anything like that. But I've wanted to go back and check out Red Rocks specifically for a while now. But on that note, what are some of your favorite shows or events or, raves, festivals, et cetera, that you've been to? And what are some of the shows or venues that you are on your kind of dream list to play?
Sure. So over the past year, there's a couple shows at Red Rocks that were really inspiring and just really amazing. Most recent was Incubus. Been a huge
Nice, that's
Incubus
rad.
fan forever
Hell
and
yeah.
had never had the chance to see them live. So I was able to slide into that show for free. I try not to flex my employee card there too much, but that one
Yeah.
was worth it. And then last Halloween, my partner and I went to see Ash Nico on Halloween,
Nice, hell yeah.
which I found out that her main producer, who goes by Slinger now, also had a dubstep project
I'm
called
not
Gemini.
surprised,
Yeah.
honestly, listening. Wait, Gemini, like from back in the day, like working with like Culprit and stuff?
Yep.
Damn,
Yeah.
wild. I had
Yeah.
no clue, but no wonder Ash Nico's beats all bang, that
They
makes
really do.
sense.
Yeah. And it was so like theatrical and cool and I stepped out of my comfort zone. We like dressed up and had just it was really fantastic time. As far as venues go, like in the relative Denver area, there's Mission Ballroom, which I think is
Yeah,
one of the best sounding indoor venues I've ever been to.
nice. I want to go there
As
too for sure.
Dude, it's fantastic. Like no matter where you're sitting, it sounds incredible. Like the
Hell
whole
yeah.
place is designed for music. There's like bathrooms on every floor, bars on every floor. The whole space is sound treated. I think it's like 3,500 ish cap,
Sounds
something
like a
like that.
dream.
It's yeah. So that's definitely high up there. I still have yet to go to Mishawaka, but that's also pretty high on my list as far as like attendance and naturally playing, but you know, uh, I assume that attending will come first, and then we'll see what happens. But yeah, Colorado is just this area is so musically like tuned in. There's so much stuff going on that I often get overwhelmed with like choice
I
anxiety, and
bet.
and then I end up not doing anything,
Yeah,
So
yeah. Feel
it
that.
kind of is what it is, but very very musically alive place, and I think on top of how beautiful it is, and like the friends that I've made here, being surrounded by this like musical energy is really going to keep me here for a while. So
Yeah, I know I'm itching to get back out there. Like I said, I moved here to San Diego when I was like 12, and I've only been back a handful of times like early on, so I definitely want to head out for some sick bass shows out in Colorado.
for sure, love San
Seeing all the
Diego
stuff
too when I was there
popping
though.
up out there, I'm always like, dang, they got
It's
some
all the time,
sick
man.
stuff going through.
It's for real. Yeah, but San
Yeah.
Diego was also I loved
Yeah.
San Diego while
It's
I
a
was over
fun
there.
spot. And then we got LA right up north, so
There's a
it's a
couple
cool spot
hours
too. Yeah.
minus traffic,
Depending on
but
traffic, yeah,
yeah.
exactly. All right. Well, what's next for Illanthropy? Do you have any upcoming shows, other releases you want to talk about?
So as far as shows go, I think I unplugged from that in a lot of ways because I've been really leaning into music education, and I've been getting a lot
Nice.
of uh just so much value out of that. Like um
Do you mean
there's
teaching or
yeah,
like
yeah, like
yeah,
yeah. So like over the
nice.
winter when Red Rock season isn't happening, that's what I'm doing basically full time, is doing like one-on-one lessons. And then I just linked up with a group called Boredom Fighters, and they started in Colorado, but they have a couple chapters around the country. But they main purpose of I think what they're doing is teaching kids how to make beats. And so
Nice. That's
just
rad.
like a couple weekends ago, I worked at the Boulder County Fair with Boredom Fighters, and they had an instrument garden where they had a couple synthesizers, drum machines, a theremin, and my
Damn.
job as a producer was to like record the stuff that people were coming in and laying down. And so it was a lot of
Hell
kids, a lot
yeah.
of adults too, but that's been really inspiring and a really lovely group of people. It was cool to just connect with people that are as nerdy as about the stuff as I am.
Yeah, feel
Um,
that heavily. And I actually teach also. So that's rad. Always
yeah,
good to meet more people who are also sharing the knowledge. And
yeah, it's the best, dude. Like,
yeah, for
yeah,
real.
especially when I see people uh like succeed from not
Yeah,
necessarily directly from what I'm teaching
nothing
them,
more
but like,
rewarding.
dude, there really isn't. And so like I
Yeah,
love playing live shows and I love being a part of the scene, but like there's really in my life there's nothing more rewarding than like getting other people excited about music and interested in what
yeah,
is possible. So that's been a big thing. But
nice.
I also have been working on a ton of music, and I think I'm getting back to like a mental space where I feel really comfortable putting music out there again and connecting with people again. Just had a lot of weird stuff happen over the past few years with I think my presence, my physical presence, social media presence, like getting in with festivals and promoters and stuff, and it was starting to feel overwhelming and like kind of for lack of better terms, like superficial in a lot of ways. And so
Yeah,
I needed to like step back because I was losing touch with reality in myself and like why I started making music to begin with. And so I think it was a really good thing to step back and then just like lean into teaching people about music, because I've made so many connections just through that too. I mean, the Boredom Fighters thing was from uh, doing lessons with someone based out of Grand Rapids. His artist name is Tectonic, but he reached
Nice.
out a couple of years ago, and he's been doing really awesome stuff lately. But he connected me with Boredom Fighters because he works for the Grand Rapids chapter. So shout out Aaron, thank you for that. But yeah, that's been really the goal right now, is just getting people interested in music and constantly learning.
Yeah, hell yeah. Like I sometimes I feel like my mission is to help people make more bangers, so there's more bangers out there in the world.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's always a benefit for music
Yeah.
as at large.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, speaking of bangers, tell us a little bit about some of your favorite things to do in terms of like sound design, mixing and mastering, approach, etc.
Sure. Man, that's there's a lot of stuff. I think, one thing I have really been leaning into lately is like when I'm considering like loudness, it is often a little counterintuitive to what you would think, like not just slamming something through a limiter, but like taking care to set defined peak values for every single instrument throughout a project, and then with the groups, and then with your pre-master, and then into the master. And so like on my actual mastering chain, there's not shit on that really.
Yeah.
Like it's all in the mix. And so like my mix bus in the project has loads and loads of shit. And then, I'm always having to downsample to 24-bit so people can play it on CDJs or whatever. So, like, I've used a lot of analog emulations because I just love the way that they sound, but a lot of them don't
Nice.
have like anti-aliasing built in. So, I have to stay in floating point whenever I export out of there. And then on my mastering chain, it's like a couple plugins that have anti-aliasing, and then, downsample to 24-bit. And a lot of the time, I don't even really need to use dithering, especially in the digital age and with like digital sound, it's not really necessary. Um, but sound design, I think I'm kind of a plugin hoarder, honestly. Like the amount of plugins I have downloaded on my computer is probably, which some people would say is ridiculous, but like I might use them once or twice or 100 times, but like there's one thing that they serve a purpose for. If
Yeah.
I'm reading a description for a plugin, I'm like, wow, that sounds really cool. Like I'm absolutely going to grab that. Like one that's popped up recently is Chroma from Synth Audio,
Heard of
and
it. I haven't played around with it yet.
it's really cool. Like I as far as I understand, it's basically just creating resonance peaks at specific frequency points that are like tuned notes,
Okay.
and increasing those peaks to add like harmonic content that is
Yeah.
tuned to whatever audio. So it could be like an atonal sample of like, whatever like Foley shit, and then you could add like the B minor chord to this
Yeah.
atonal
Kind of like
audio.
a kind of like a tunable resonator.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So you could
Yeah.
probably do the same thing in like Pro Q4 or whatever, but I think just the way it colors sound is really nice.
Nice.
Um,
I'll have to check it out.
yeah, and really been loving tape emulations too. Another person I feel like I have to shout out is Air Windows. Just like the best collection of free plugins I think available. Spacing on his last name, but it's this guy named Chris who's been making plugins forever. He's created this whole like ecosystem for plugins that all algorithmically work together perfectly. But as far as like free analog emulations go, his tape emulation is like there's nothing that compares. Like it's really amazing. And so a lot of like stereo stuff that I've been doing is through like sort of emulated automatic double tracking with tapes, where it sort of like slightly delays like two tape channels running at the same time to
Nice.
create this really like subtle but interesting stereo space that's like always moving a little bit.
Yeah.
And so that I've been using that frequently to get stereo content on synths or vocals or what have you.
Nice.
Um,
And what'd you say the name of the company was?
Air Windows.
Air Windows. I'll have to write
Yeah.
that down. I'm gonna check it
Yep.
out.
Yeah, Air Windows Consolidated is his. It's a standalone VST, but I mean it works in Ableton, but it has basically a collection of all of the plugins he's made. So you only have to download the one VST, and then you have access to everything.
Nice.
It's
Hell yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
That's rad. I'll
Um,
check that out in Chroma for sure.
yeah, yeah. Chrome is great, and
Uh,
another thing I think with like drums, something I've been doing is using wave shaper sometimes instead of compressor or in tandem with a compressor. But I think I posted about this on my story the other day because it's a sort of
Nice.
recent development. But um, basically, like with the wave shaper, you have the same transfer curve that you would have with a compressor, but the wave shaper isn't dependent on like a peak threshold. There's no attack and release settings for it as well. So like whatever you're doing to the transfer curve on the wave shaper, it's applying to everything with zero attack, zero release. And then you can just like, subtly adjust the output, but that includes everything in the drum bus. So it's not relying on like the peak from your kick and snare or whatever. All of this wave shaping is applying to everything in the drums.
Nice.
And have been getting really fantastic results with that.
Sweet.
So yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah, I'll have to check that out too. Just hearing you talk, I can tell there's a lot I could learn from you.
Yeah. Well, if you don't tell me to stop talking, I could talk forever about this
No,
stuff.
yeah,
So it's
same.
my favorite.
Honestly, that's the thing is, yeah, I could sit and nerd out about like sound design and just mixing and mastering theory and just
Man,
experimentation literally all day. It's my favorite thing is just making weird noises with the homies.
absolutely, dude. Yeah, I think another thing too. It just popped in my head, but like one I think kind of legendary setting in Ableton is the hip hop sub bass.
Oh yeah, of
Like a
course.
lot of people use that.
Mainlined that for so long.
Oh my God. Like, yeah. Put an IV in my arm with the hip hop sub bass. But
Yeah.
um, when I guess maybe a couple years ago, I started almost exclusively using operator for my
Oh,
sub bass
cool.
because I could add a sine harmonic overtone on the sub harmonic on oscillator one. And so the second oscillator would be like the third sine harmonic or whatever. And then I
Yeah.
would have it really, really low volume, but it also lets you adjust the phase of that second harmonic. And so each oscillation of the waveform is slightly different. And that way you're not potentially getting any like strange phase cancellation in the sub bass. But the hip hop sub bass found out just does the exact same thing. I had no idea.
Nice.
Like, yeah. When you turn that overtone button up, that's all that it's doing is
Yeah.
adding that harmonic a little bit.
On that
Uh,
note, have you messed around with the ratio mode in Serum 2 much yet?
oh, I'm really incriminating myself here, but I have not used Sierra 2 yet.
Oh, bro,
I know.
ratio mode is cracked. It's basically gives you similar functionality to operator in terms of just being able to set the specific harmonics. It also has a harmonics mode for pitching. And so I've actually been doing some similar stuff in Serum 2, and I was starting to use operator a lot for that same reason. And then once
Hmm.
Serum 2 dropped and I saw the ratio mode, I was like, all right, back to Serum, I guess. Uh,
Yeah. I
and
watched so many videos about it too. I'm like, what am I
yeah,
doing? Just download the shit. It's free,
and
dude.
well, and then being able to route the sub oscillator out directly, and then like use the other oscillators on ratio mode, but then actually open up the wavetable editor and remove the first harmonic, so it doesn't like mess with
Like,
the actual
hmm.
sine wave. Is yeah, it's been fun for getting some of those nice low mid thick bass like subs.
Oh yeah. With like sub theory, I'm always adding like a sub harmonic layer to
Yeah.
whatever, and then using either doing it myself or using something like auto align from Melda
Yep.
Productions to make sure that my bass synths and sub bass aren't like there's not some weird phase cancellation because even high passing shit doesn't necessarily remove that problem.
Yeah.
Like it can still happen. So, but M Auto, I got to shout out Melda Productions hard,
Yeah,
honestly.
of
Like
course.
they got so much dope stuff,
Melda's
man,
sick
and
for sure.
stuff that I use in every single project. Same with Kiloheart's free bundle too, like
Yep.
every project.
Yep. Mainlining those for sure.
The ring mod,
In
oh my
fact,
gosh.
dude, it's so funny. I always tell people, I'm like, the Kilohertz bundle is worth it just for the transient shaper alone, and then
Oh,
everything
it's
else is
go to,
is
dude.
just
Like
bonus.
it's so like it's
And
so
disperser,
simple.
of course.
Oh yeah. The disperser is great, but the transient shaper is just like
Yeah.
it's so simple but so useful. Like that pump option compared to other transient shapers is just immaculate. Like it's amazing that these like high cost transient shapers don't have functionality like that. It's just
Yeah.
attack and like release
Yeah.
settings and
For real.
that pump option to do like the little bit of ducking right after the transient before you take the release down it's everything sometimes.
Yeah.
Like it's huge. So yeah, shout out Kilohertz too. Thanks for
Yeah.
the
Hell
free
yeah.
bundle.
Well, before we nerd out on sound design for the rest of this recording, just wanted to say, is there anything else you want to mention specifically about this track, about your brand, any kind of final takeaway for the people listening?
Yeah, sure. So one thing that I did with this track that I don't do with a lot of other tracks is I wanted it to have this really extreme juxtaposition of like extreme digital loudness and like acoustic rhythm. So the drums are all like heavily processed acoustic drum samples. There's another plugin that I really like to use from Analog Obsession called MoMA, and they don't really give a lot of information about what's going on under the hood there. They just say it's emulating a quote unquote Mojo box. I have, who knows?
Not
But
me.
yeah, exactly. But it's really cool because let's say like you can just throw this on your entire mix bus and hear basically what it's doing. But go into Ableton and make like an 808 beat that's just like heavy bass and a drum beat, and then throw MoMA on the mix bus and crank it up. So it has a couple options, but the first two options are G even harmonics and G odd harmonics. Both of them work, but it will almost instantaneously give you that sort of like Playboy Cardi or XXXTentacion like super distorted sound every time the 808 hits, where it makes it
Nice.
everything else like flutter a little bit. Like that's the best way I know how to describe it. But I use that a lot, especially when I'm making stuff that has a lot of like higher harmonic content or higher frequency content, because it makes that stuff sound like gritty as well.
Nice.
And so like an easy way to get like add grit to like, let's say you just have like a really stretchy, pretty like higher frequency sine wave lead or something, you can duplicate your sub bass, group them together, throw MoMA on it, and then crank it, and suddenly that lead synth is super gritty, super textured. But I'll often use it on like my entire mix bus to a degree, not like extreme. But with this song, I really didn't want the drums to be impacted by that, and I wanted to emphasize that juxtaposition even more. And so I basically grouped everything except my drums and used that plugin on the group to give me that like extreme grit and texture to everything but the drums. So the drums still sound really clean and really
Nice.
punchy, but everything else is like crazy distorted and like some might say like doesn't like bad sounding, but
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think it sounds cool. So
Clipping.
yeah, super clipping. Yeah.
Clipped. Hell
um
yeah.
yep.
Well, you sold me. I just downloaded it.
Beautiful. And yeah, it's free. Yeah. It's
Yeah. Hell
absolutely free.
yeah.
But that was kind of like the whole point of the song, was to like think about those juxtapositions where you have those feelings of like every day is exactly the same, nothing's ever changing, I'm in the same mind state, my life is monotonous or whatever. But there's always something on the other side. Like there's always
Yeah.
another option or another it's something else that you can lean into. I don't know, all it takes is like a little bit of like belief or leaning into the thing. And so like even if it's playing a video game that day, or reading a book, or like trying to make a song that's in a different genre than you made before, like whatever it is for anybody, like there's always something that you can do any day to make that day feel a little bit different. So
Yeah.
like maybe today is like that, the idea of like that concept of like doing something slightly different just to make this day feel a little bit different than the last day.
No, that's rad.
Yeah.
Well, hell yeah, man. I'm excited to hear it. I'm excited to see what you do next. Excited to go do a deep
Thank you,
dive
man.
on some of
Yeah.
your other tunes. And, we'll have to hop on another Zoom session soon, trade some knowledge, maybe start a tune or something.
And just nerd out. Yeah, that
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Always down. Keep in touch. Signing off for UHO. Hang on for a second. I'll just stop